Mr. Mayor, it is 9 a.m. and the live stream and recording has begun. You may begin your meeting.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Council, members of the senior leadership team, presenters, and residents are either joining us live or by Zoom. I see we do indeed have quorum. Councillor Kerr is joining us from the hinterlands. And first up on the agenda is the national anthem. Please rise if you may. All right, can't be a better way to start the meeting off than something like that. Next on the agenda is the land recognition statement, and today we have Councillor Hildebrand to do the honors.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The town of Pelham is situated on treaty lands steeped in the rich history of the First Nations such as the Attawanawak, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe peoples, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island live and work in Niagara. The town of Pelham stands in solidarity with all Indigenous people, past and present, acknowledging that our high standard of living is the result of resources and lasting friendship of Indigenous people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hildebrand. Next is the approval of the agenda. I turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Kerr. Be it resolved that the agenda for the August 6, 2025 regular meeting of Council be adopted as circulated to Mr.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the agenda? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed. Turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to the disclosure of pecuniary interests.
Okay, and after viewing the agenda, does any council member have a pecuniary interest in general nature thereof to declare? Not seeing any. Ask the clerk to please note that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 6, and we are joined this morning by Chris Fear, Director of Operations and Partnerships with the Ontario Plowmen's Association, and I invite the presenter to the podium and remind him that he has 5 minutes for his presentation.
Good morning, Chris, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor, Council, staff.
We hear you're having a party on the other side of the 24.
Oh, now you can really hear me. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that. Let me just get this into presentation mode. All right, we're okay just scrolling through one by one, aren't we? I'm okay with this. We're running into my 5 minutes. Yes, so good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today regarding the International Plowing Match and Rural Expo that is happening next month in Grassy. I know Mayor Junkin reached out to me some time ago wondering how the town of Pelham could support this venture and this event. As I indicated to him, we were working through the 3 host municipalities in terms of Lincoln, West Lincoln, and Grimsby, what they were able to offer in terms of in-kind services, as well as the region. So, while it's late, we finally resolved all of our in-kind asks with those parties, and so with that, I was able to put together some items that hopefully the town of Pelham would be able to support. But before I get there, just a bit of a brief history on the event. Let me see if this will. All right. So, takes place September 16th to 20th at the West Niagara Fairgrounds, so that's at the corner of Mud Street and Grimsby Mountain Road. It is in West Lincoln, but it sort of abuts those 3 municipalities. The last time it was held here was October 1926. That's the last time it was in Niagara. Since then, it's pretty much traveled eastern and western Ontario. The closest it ever came was Norfolk County, Alderman, Norfolk, out in Selkirk, I believe, and that was over 20 years ago. So this is a unique opportunity to bring, we'll call it the plowing match crowd, and all of those who visit that event to Niagara this fall. Of course, it involves 5 days of plowing competition. We have competitors from Canada, United States, and potentially joining us from Europe. We run everything from horse plowing to antique tractor plowing with the steel wheels to traditional tractors as we know today. This event takes place over a couple of 100 acres. We've got about 400 plus acres set aside to run the event. 100 acres at the West Niagara Fairgrounds will host what we call tented cities. So vendors, exhibitors, musical entertainment that'll take place throughout the week, lifestyle exhibits, historical displays. So there's a lot of activity at the fairground site. We run close to 6,000 students through an educational program, so that'll be, now this year might be a little shortened because there is a PD day on the Friday, so we're looking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as having the educational component and the buses and the students running through the event. There are 400, actually right now we're at about 300 fully serviced sites for camping that are adjacent to Tented City. And so if anybody's driven by that area in the last week or two, you'll see it is Hydro One is busy putting up poles and putting in the infrastructure to host this event. So they're fully serviced. So a lot of effort is going in the month of August to prep things for the event. On the Tuesday, as per tradition, we see the Parliament will join. Pretty much every MPP will be on site on the Tuesday as part of the opening ceremonies, as part of the political plowing. I mean, most people see the picture in the paper, social media, you know, Doug Ford sitting on the blue tractor, but expect to see a large contingent of the Tory caucus there, as well as other leaders provincially. You know, opening ceremonies, VIP events, and it's an exciting day for everybody involved. We look at roughly 70,000 people joining this event over the 5 days. And I know you've just completed your Summerfest. I saw some of the great numbers that you had there. We're expecting inwards of 70,000. We're hoping more than that based on the location, right? Close to the GTA, Niagara, we hope to see an uptick in attendance. You know, real positive tourism impact. We're really pushing the Niagara, the grape growers, the craft distilleries, the craft breweries, right? Putting the Niagara spin on things that make us unique. And so that is happening, and we, like I said, we hope to draw more because of that. But as you can see by the one stat, 70+% travel more than 40 kilometers to attend. So it is an event that draws from all over the province, but once again, we're hoping to bring what's unique about Niagara to it, and we've partnered up with some of, once again, some of the things in Niagara to try to provide people value add in terms of being able to leave the site if you're camping, you know, go visit other communities around Niagara and see what they have to offer. And so we are working on partnerships and opportunities and sharing that information out to those who are staying on site for the week. You know, once again, it's about regional tourism. If these stats hold true, and we're hoping with Niagara Falls being close proximity, we should see a number of visitors spend at least 2 nights in the area, which once again allows the region to benefit. So significant opportunities there that exist through tourism and partnership. I don't have a slide with the ask, but I think I'll walk through it with you right now. As I shared with the CAO, what we're looking at is support in the area of first aid and support in terms of tear down of the event. This event takes 1,000+ volunteers to try to execute, and I'm not sure of our final volunteer numbers at this time, but a tremendous amount of effort. We've also got, I think as of last night, over $400,000 in-kind support going into the event, not to mention cash support. It's a significant lift for all those involved, and help is required. On the first aid front, we're asking the town of Pelham to take the lead on the first aid side of things, partnering with Niagara EMS, who we've contracted to be on site for the 5 days. A minimum of 2, upwards of 4 firefighters to be out and patrolling and providing first aid as needed. So visibility within the event itself between the tented city and the RV park, and once again, working with EMS on that. The second piece is tear down of snow fence. I don't know how many miles of snow fence we have going up. Many might know Post Time, which is just down Canberra Road here in Wellandport. Post Time has agreed to set up all the fence for us leading into the event, but we're looking for some additional support to get things cleaned up following the event. So those are the 2 pieces that I've asked for your support, and we're appreciative of anything the town is able to do in kind for this event. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor Junkin.
Okay, Chris, so thank you very much for for appearing this morning. A great event coming into the Niagara region, a great tourist draw, 70,000. And anytime we can see Doug Ford on a tractor is a good thing. So get him grassroots connected to the peninsula. So again, it was great that West Lincoln bid on this expo, and even better that they got it. It is of course weather related. I remember the last time it was in Haldimand County in Selkirk, I believe. I believe we got 4 inches of rain the day before it started, yes. And it was not pretty. The midway, the areas in between the tents. But anyway, hopefully the weather will cooperate fully with your crew. We're looking forward to it. Before we get into the ask, any questions from any members of council on the ask or even on the event itself? If not, then I will go to our perhaps let's start off with the fire chief. Have you been in contact with the EMS, and are we indeed prepared to handle the ask as far as the fire department is concerned?
Through Mr. Mayor, all my correspondence has been through the fire chief in West Lincoln, because that's the host municipality. So, and he's been the communicator with EMS. So I don't know, at this time, I don't know exactly what EMS is committed to. I've been told that they possibly putting 2 units on site for the full time. And between the chief and I talking, if EMS does that commitment full time with both those units, we didn't really see the need to put fire out there also for first aid. We could be there for other reasons, but if EMS is going to be there for medical, then there's really no need to double it up. So, that's the talk I've been having with Tim, the chief, and at this point, we're willing to commit.
Yeah.
Our RTV out there with a couple guys, a few days, but nothing's been finalized on the fire side.
So Chris, as long as we keep in touch with the EMS and we coordinate with them, and if the request comes through, like the chief says, we'll, with their blessing of council, we'll definitely look after that one. And then I'll turn to the CAO, Mr. Cribbs, on the request on the tear down crew. Any comments on that?
Fundamentally, it's something we think we can accommodate. A little unclear on whether the tear down will be the Sunday or the Monday. Either way, we would try to do this within our existing operating budget, and if not, Ms. Quinlan Murphy had some ideas about how we could find upwards of $10,000, but I don't think the bill would hit that, frankly, between both departments, between Public Works and between Fire. So the ask or the concept is approval of up to $10,000, but I think that's an extreme, like, I think a couple things have to go the wrong way for it to get that expensive. I don't think it'll cost us even that between the two asks. So we do have capacity. If it's Sunday, it'll be overtime for some Public Works staff, and if it's the Monday, it'll be essentially opportunity cost, in that they'll be working outside the municipality's borders on things they wouldn't otherwise do. But in either event, we are capable of providing assistance through both departments, and as we get close to the date, we'll have a better understanding of how many days or how many firefighters might be needed, and the size of whether it's one Public Works crew or two for a shorter period of time, or what that looks like exactly. But we would be capable of providing, these are things we're well capable of doing with the trained staff, and there's a distinct possibility we won't even need budgetary dollars. We may well be able to manage both asks within our existing budgets, and if not, we're talking about very modest overruns, and Ms. Quinlan Murphy has some solution for that. So we're capable of meeting the request if that is the will of council, and I think that's everything.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions from council, either to the presenter or to the ask? If not, I do have an amendment, because right now it's to accept this as for information only. I will therefore read this, and then we'll discuss this. And that council support the request from the Ontario Plowmen's Association by providing staff resources, either through direct or in-kind labor, to assist with the planning and delivery of the 2025 International Plowing Match to be held in Niagara in the fall of 2025, up to a maximum value of $10,000. To the clerk, we need a seconder.
That's correct.
Do we have a seconder on this? Councilor Hildebrand will second. Okay, thank you. So I guess that makes me the mover. I would just say that as a neighbor to West Lincoln, and obviously a member of the part of this Niagara region that's going to, I believe, greatly benefit from the tourism aspect itself. I think it's be very fitting for this council to come through and help our neighbors out. It's I've been to many of these events. I plan to take my grandchildren to them. Do I go out to see the plowing? No, I've done enough of that I don't have to. I don't have to see how it's done. But there is a lot of exhibits, and it is great to walk through for an afternoon, if it's an afternoon, you're going to have to run through it. So you're going to need the day to go up there and go through it, and it's very. You can't get more closer to ag than the tilling of the soil as such. So that's why I'm prepared to move this. Councilor Hildebrand, as a seconder, any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, absolutely. I think it's a fantastic event. I didn't understand the enormity of this event until I got involved with the other municipalities and boards that I sit on. Niagara Peninsula Energy is involved in this. They're actually trying to get the Minister of the Environment and several of the other ministers out to see our part of the waste facility. We have one of the most amazing engineered waste facilities in the province. And they're trying to get the minister out and some of the political people out to see what can be done to handle waste, because
Excellent.
that is an amazing site. So yes, I'm in full support of it, and I think it is a great event for the region because of the outreach that it has and the number of people. And if you get good weather, and even if you don't, I think there'll be a great number of people coming there. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to second this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any councillor discussion on the amendment to the motion? No discussion. I'll call the vote on this amendment then. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Amendment carries. To the clerk, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to the motion as amended. If yourself and Councillor Hildebrand agree, I can reuse you as a mover and seconder.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And then a vote on the motion as amended.
Okay, so now on the motion as amended, any further discussion? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. Excellent. Thank you. Chris, again, thank you for appearing this morning. Best of luck. I know I will see you on site. And yeah, let's hope I hope between now and then we get some rain because it's pretty dry out there. But I hope for the event, the weather gods smile on you.
Thank you, Mayor Junkin. Thank you, Council. Appreciate the support.
Okay, thank you. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to your next delegation this morning, and we are joined by Natalie Green from the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. And Natalie, you do have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Okay, and welcome to council this morning.
Oh, it's doing, hold, 1 moment, please, so I can, oh, there we go, perfect. Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and Council. As I've mentioned, my name is Natalie Green. I am the Director of Watershed Strategies and Climate Change at the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. Joining me today for this presentation is CAO Leilani Lee Yates to my left, and Carrie Royer, who's the Conservation Lands Planning Specialist. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about a potential partnership to tackle invasive species. Invasive species are plants, animals, insects, and pathogens that are introduced to an area and cause harm to the environment, economy, or society. They are considered one of Canada's greatest threats to the survival of animal and plant life. Several invasive plants and insects have been detected locally, including Phragmites, which is shown on the top left of that image, oak wilt, which is the bottom, and hemlock woolly adelgid, to name only a few. Hemlock woolly adelgid or HWA for short, is a small invasive insect targeting hemlock trees. It was recently detected in Niagara, including St. John's Conservation Area, which straddles the town of Pelham and the city of Thorold. Much like what we experienced with the emerald ash borer, this pest is a serious ecological threat to the health of the ecosystem. Eastern hemlock is a tree species that can live up to 500 years and provides shade, temperature regulation, and erosion control for local streams, enhances biodiversity, and provides year-round habitat and shelter for wildlife. Without treating hemlock woolly adelgid, eastern hemlock will experience premature needle death, loss, and thinning at the crown, slowly dying within 4 to 15 years of infestation. Preventing the spread is crucial to protecting natural areas. A key first step in preventing the spread is education. NPCA has installed signs, which are shown here, at its impacted conservation areas to inform visitors about the invasive pests and what to do to prevent the spread. Visitors to conservation areas should always stay on the trails. They must not remove any branches, twigs, or leaves from the property. They must ensure that pets stay on the trail and on a leash, and should wash all clothing and footwear before entering another conservation area or woodlot. These small actions can make a big difference. NPCA is leading the way locally to help coordinate efforts to deal with invasive species through developing an invasive species strategy. We're facilitating collaboration through a workshop that we held this past February, developing and supporting outreach and education, assessing the levels of infestation of hemlock woolly adelgid at our conservation areas, and applying for external funding to treat these areas. We have also been participating in provincial and federal working groups to help keep informed of best practices and new research. Tackling invasive species is a shared issue requiring a collaborative approach. While MPCA brings together partners and is viewed as a local subject matter expert, the Conservation Authorities Act, limits our involvement on public lands not owned by conservation authorities, unless directed by municipal partners or with external grant funding. We'll also be reaching out to other municipal partners, such as the City of Thorold, for support on tackling invasive species at CAs or conservation areas that impact them. There are opportunities for the town of Pelham and NPCA to work together on this important issue. We already have an executed shared services agreement that can enable us to collaborate on a pilot project to treat hemlock woolly adelgid at St. John's Conservation Area, while training staff at both organizations to further build capacity, support knowledge sharing, and foster collaboration for future projects. We are here today to request a $10,000 financial contribution from the town of Pelham to support an invasive species management pilot project at the St. John's Conservation Area. This project will include purchasing the necessary equipment and pesticides, assessing and treating hemlock trees, and training staff from MPCA and the town of Pelham. Thank you so much again for this opportunity. Myself and staff that are with me are happy to answer any of your questions.
Yep, okay. Thank you for the presentation. Before turning it over to council, a few questions. This council is very familiar, of course, with another invasive species, the gypsy moth, which isn't supposed to be called gypsy moth, but I forget the other name. Is this, and the gypsy moth operates in cycles. Some years it's heavy, some years it's light. This year, maybe even last year, we didn't have to spray or not very much spray. Is this species also up and down in its life cycles?
I'll ask Carrie to come speak to the specifics of the species.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Junkin. To my knowledge, it is not cyclical, but that would be something I haven't done any research myself on that at this point. But to my knowledge, it's nothing that's been come up at any of the research meetings or the working groups or anything like that about it having sort of that cyclical pattern like the spongy moth. So to my knowledge, no, but I could look into that more.
No, that's fine. And then as far as the spray program, is that, what time of year is that most beneficial, or when do you plan on doing that?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Junkin. It is not a spray program, it's an injection treatment so that we can target the trees themselves. So that's why it requires some specific tools and equipment and pesticides. And I believe from my understanding that the fall is the best time. So right now is a great time to start planning for the treatment so that we can do the treatment in the fall.
Wow, so a lot more manual as opposed to a helicopter going over. You're going to have to go into the park, and each tree has got to be individually injected. Mm-hmm. I see. And how long is the injection? Just for a year, or will that? Any idea on that?
Again,
realizing this is all preliminary.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Meryl.
Sorry.
Carrie to answer the specifics again.
That does have a slightly complicated answer because it depends on the type of pesticide that you use. There's different brands that have different lengths of treatment. So some of them will act really quickly and kill the hemlock woolly adelgid within a month, but then it only offers protection to the tree for 12 to 24 months, where some other products act a little more slowly, but then they'll provide 4 to 7 years protection. So it depends on which product you choose to use, how long the protection will last.
Okay, thank you. I've got a few other questions, but I'll open it to council. I see Councilor Wink, please.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. It's disturbing to see all these different things crop up that we're not used to. When we were kids, we never had to hear about all these invasive species. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Quinlan Murphy. We have an invasive species reserve. How much money do we have in that reserve at this point in time?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we roughly have 120,000, but we also have an operating budget of 75,000, of which I think this year we've used maybe up to 30,000. So we do have money in the operating budget for the $10,000.
Thank you for that. So it seems that we have funds that we could contribute to this. St. John's Conservation Authority is in the town of Pelham, and it's well worth the spend of $10,000 from my perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments? I'll go with Councillor Nesnick.
Thank you. So just if you can clarify what those funds would be used for specifically?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. The funds will be used to purchase the necessary equipment. We're not currently set up to do this work on our own. We have the subject matter expertise, but this is a pilot for us, and rather than getting contractors, we're attempting to pilot out doing it ourselves and building some capacity within the town and MPCA as well. So we'll be buying the equipment, the necessary pesticides. We'll be doing the licensing and training for staff. Both staff at Pelham can be included in that and staff at MPCA. And then the time and effort to go out and do the treatment at the site, including the assessment of those trees in advance as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Eckert.
Good morning. Thank you for your presentation. Very professional. Couple of questions. Is there any evidence that these pests migrate to other types of trees, or are they just, their appetite is hemlock?
Through you, Chair, my understanding is that they are targeting hemlock, and I'll ask Carrie to add if she knows anything more about the research.
So as of right now, they are only feeding on eastern hemlock. In the US, and I believe out west in British Columbia, there is also a part of the life cycle where some of the insects migrate to spruce trees to complete part of their life cycle. But because those trees, it's a specific kind of spruce that we don't have here in Ontario, because we don't have those trees, it does not produce that part of their life cycle. So to our knowledge here in Ontario, it is only the eastern hemlock.
Okay, thank you. And do you have a ballpark number of how many hemlock trees are there in,
Through you, Mayor, we don't
within 5 or 10?
Yeah, we don't have a ballpark of all of the hemlock in Niagara, but we are assessing our conservation areas. And right now we've estimated, I think there's about 500 or so at St. John's, and we're looking at Rockaway as well, Rockaway Conservation Area that has a few more, quite a bit more than St. John's,
Okay, thank you.
based on the forest type.
Thank you. And finally, to our treasurer, we had budgeted, as Councillor Wink had said, that was, I think, $75,000 for the spongy moth, and because it came in, that's where we have a bit of a surplus in there that we would use for this.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll turn to Councillor Wink.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is for information purposes, but similar to the previous presentation, I'd like to propose an amendment that council support the request for financial contribution in the amount of $10,000 to be withdrawn from not from the invasive species reserve from our operating budget for invasive species, to support capacity building, training, and treatment of hemlock woolly
Adelgid.
and that the CAO be directed to take the necessary steps to fulfill this partnership opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. And Councillor Eckert, you are second?
Correct.
Thank you very much. As the mover, Councillor, any further comments?
No, I don't think there's any necessary.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Eckert as seconder?
So the official name is Ich? Is that-
That's close.
No other comments.
Okay, thank you. Any other debate or comment on the amendment put forward? Not seeing any, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. And Councillor Kerr, I forget to look at the screen. And I don't want to put you on the spot. Any comments from the East Coast?
Well, it's interesting considering my background in dealing with these kind of creatures on so many different things. I did have one question, but it's fine. I'm in fully support of this. Was whether whether any of the treatments are considered as strictly corrective, or are they preventative as well? Often, in many cases, your treatments have to, if you're strictly on a corrective, you have to identify it on the host plant. But in many cases, finding them on the host plant can be difficult. So I'm just wondering whether there's opportunity, A, looking at biocontrol agents that may potentially be used, and B, whether there's options with products that might be preventative for future infestation.
Thank
Any
you.
comments?
Yes, thank you through you, Mayor. The treatments are preventative as well.
Okay, great.
And biocontrols. Well, if there were any, are there any biocontrols that are approved by CFIA?
Not in Canada. In the US, they're starting to utilize some biocontrol methods, but not
Okay.
yet here.
Thank you. Councillor?
That's fine. Being aware, yes, that the U.S. are using it. Interestingly, some of the biocontrol agents for them are naturally occurring species, so it'd be interesting to know whether they're detected in our environment as well.
Okay, thank you, Council. Any other comments or questions? Not seeing any, call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to the motion as amended. And again, if Councillor Wink and Deputy Mayor Eckert are okay with that, we'll reuse you as the mover and seconder.
Okay, thank you. So on the motion as amended, any other comments or questions? Not seeing any, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. The check is in the mail. One other thing, a request, if I may. I use St. John's quite often. I go down there for a walk, and I'd just like to say that there is an animal down there that brings garbage and leaves it on the trail. And it can't be any of the citizens, and it can't be human, so it must be a wild animal that is littering the trail. Is there any way that the NPCA can capture this animal or train it not to have such unhealthy habits?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think we just need to continue encouraging those animals to pick up after themselves and treating the CAs and conservation areas in a respectful way. So we'll make sure that we provide those reminders to our visitors. Thank you.
There we go. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your presentation this morning, and good luck with this invasive species. I turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to the adoption of council minutes. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Brunarski. Be it resolved that the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. C12, 2025, regular council meeting, July 2nd, 2025. To you, Mr. Mayor, for any errors or omissions.
Thank you. Take care. After viewing these minutes, any councillor have any omissions or additions that they would like to add or subtract? Not seeing any. You'll call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 8 on the agenda. If there are now any items that council would like to lift from the consent agenda, now would be the time.
Okay, thank you. After viewing the agenda or the consent agenda, is there any item specifically that a council member would like to lift? And lifting, go ahead, Councilor Nesna.
Sorry, I'm not sure it actually needs lifted, but I would like to make some comments on 9.9.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's all.
So we don't need to lift. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Not seeing any other council members, we will go down the list then. I turn to the clerk.
Okay, excellent. If you'd like to go down the list in 2 categories, we can begin with staff reports.
Okay, so the staff reports, and I believe that was yours, or is that, what number did you want, Councillor?
Me?
Yes.
9.2.9.
Is that a staff report?
It is, yes.
Yes. Okay, you have the floor, my Councilor Niznik.
I hope I'm in the right spot. Yes, it's just with regards to that, the Niagara region and the Quaker Road
Okay.
construction that's ongoing there. So is that down in this report? Maybe I'm in the wrong spot. It is there? Yeah. So I just wonder if you can give us a little more details. I guess would be, I see Mr. Marr's not here today, but maybe someone else from Public Works has a bit of an answer. That has turned into quite an experience for those Quaker Road residents and, especially the business on the corner there. I'm sure they've suffered a lot of hardship due to the delay in that project. And it's really unacceptable. So can anyone give us a real good explanation of why it was almost completed and then it was totally redone? So what happened? I don't have any details on when someone asks me what's going on there. I don't really know. So if someone could give me a little bit of a background on what the problem was and how the contractor messed up and who's paying for the redo of it, and I see that they finally have opened Quaker from Line over to Rice finally, but it's still a mess. And then it's still closed from Line to South Pelham. So just maybe some updates and information of more detail on that, please.
So I know from the regions, they came back for more money, another 3.2 million. So they did have quite a few unsuspecting, unknown problems. I will go to Public Works Representative, Mr. Derek Young. Perhaps you have more information, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, the original tender had a jack and bore system for the trunk main to go under the region's water main at the intersection of Clare and Quaker. When they did the jack and bore, the system failed. So instead of the pipe going uphill, it ended up going downhill due to the ground conditions, which was the unexpected thing that the mayor indicated on. They couldn't resolve that issue without excavating out and completely removing it. So that was a 10-meter deep excavation they had to carry out to remove the casing that they'd installed. And then they went back to council and asked for additional funding to go and try a different methodology, which involved them reversing it. Instead of them drilling from the Welland side to the Pelham side, they were now going to go from the Pelham side to the Welland side. That process, going from the failure happened and to getting completed, was probably a good 3 months. So that's why there is such a significant delay on the project moving forward. There is a few other things in there, but there are things I could keep going on that I don't think is relevant. But that was the major one that incurred the delay on the project.
Councillor?
So, okay, thank you very much for that update. I'm certainly no engineer, but would that engineering or pre-engineering plan and research not already be in a plan somewhere that they should have been aware of that ahead of time in order to deal with that problem right up front? Like, who's paying for the mistake, I guess, is the problem. I really don't think taxpayers either at our level or at the regional level should be doing that. Like, contractors who make mistakes, is that an engineer's problem? Was it the contractor's problem? But it is ridiculous that goes on for a year and then, oh, well, it's a taxpayer problem. They're going to have to pay. They just came for more money. It is not our fault. It's either engineering's or it's contractors. They're the folks that should be held responsible for that, in my opinion.
Any further comments, Mr. Young?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. No.
I didn't ask a question.
And Councillor Hildebrand will assure us that engineers never make mistakes, so it must be the contractor. My question to perhaps Ms. Quinlan Murphy or to the CAO, so the region came back, or they came back to the region, and the region threw in an extra 3.2 million. Does that mean, do we have a share of that 3.2 million that will have to come from our coffers?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I haven't received any updates from Public Works, no one has said that, so Derek might know.
Okay, to Mr. Young?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, there's nothing coming back on the town. This was part of the regional works that had to be carried out as part of their trunk main. So the local infrastructure as part of our contract is not been impacted by that.
Excellent, very good, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Nesnick. Any other on the staff reports that would like to be mentioned? And Councilor Wink.
Yeah, 9.2.3, Quaker Meeting House Building Review. This has come up before, not in quite this detail of the improvements that need to be done. The property is, I don't think the windows have been replaced yet. The paint's falling off. And I believe from what I'm reading that the club has used this facility free since 1972. And the club was required to contribute to keeping the building in good condition. Has the club ever paid anything or done anything to keep this property in good condition? Like, the plan is to make well, it is a heritage building at this point in time, but it seems like the tenant, so to speak, hasn't done anything to the property. They've also ignored regulations, safety regulations, by having excessive capacity of people in this. So can someone answer if they've done anything? And really, at some point in time, could we in fact use this property for other purposes, such as a museum or whatever going forward? So just throwing some of those questions.
I will call on the CAO to earn the big bucks today and perhaps enlighten us as to what we, the town, foresee in the future for this building.
I do have some things to say, but I think I'd like to, I think we should first hear from Ms. Van Ravensway, and then perhaps I can add some wrap-up commentary.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll turn to Director of Recreation and Wellness, Ms. Van Ravensway.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. As you can see from the report, the Quaker House, that we have had an agreement with the Model Railroad Association for many, many years, and the original agreement from 1974 did state that they were to maintain the building. And over the years, many of us have probably witnessed some of their maintenance that has gone on, replacing the roof shingles, which we needed to take over because it wasn't done properly and so forth. So now we've brought this to a head. We have had, a assessment on the building, and we're reviewing it. We have also had our new manager has met with the association, and they're quite willing to look at a future or not a future with us. So the talks are starting, and we want to address, we've taken over everything. We want to address immediate safety concerns from the fire department and the building department. And that is what is indicated in the report. And in the fall, probably September, we will have another report where we're going from here. And rightfully so, we are open to new uses or continued use, but we also have an agreement with the Model Railroad Association that currently our solicitor, Ms. Sturton, is looking at, and we will have a report coming back to you in the near future.
Councilor?
I'm looking forward to that report.
Any further comments at this time, Mr. CAO, or
I think that's got it. If you have specific questions, we have both our fire chief and our chief building official present who can speak to the technical components of the report and why there's some immediate life safety issues that have been addressed and are being addressed no matter what. The rest of it is, this is the start of a long conversation. Council was quite appropriately decided to make this part of the strategic plan, and it's a core asset that we haven't been focusing on for many years, and we are now grabbing the proverbial bull by the horns. There are more reports to come, and you will have opportunities to decide how to best utilize the asset for community benefit and what that means, and you get to define that. So this is the first report amongst many, but it's the one to sort of flag for you that there are some serious structural concerns with the building. That being said, we have there are multiple different paths forward, and that's the good news. We have a bunch of talent on this file. And it actually touches planning and history. It touches rec and culture and engagement. It touches legal. It touches fire and building inspection. It's almost the entire corporation involved in this file, and I'm extremely confident we're going to come up with either multiple uses or a variant on the current use, but it really is time that this is being addressed, and I'm just happy to say that we've addressed the immediate life safety issues, so that's sort of aside, and now we can sort of take a breath and take a look at what makes sense for the future, and I think the next reports will give you a lot of options and things to think about, and I think the building, the facility has a really bright future, frankly.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councilor Wing, all good? Got any other comments on this particular item or on any other staff report? Councilor Nesnick.
Yes, thank you. If we could maybe look at 9.2.4, the grant program that has been proposed for us to approve. Just a couple of questions, if maybe they can expand on this. I know it is part of our strategic plan, so it's looking great. Just what would be the cap of spending in that fund, or what funds are available in terms of like how many projects would get approved? I don't know if Christine wants to mention that.
Okay, thank
or
you.
Ms. Van Ravensway.
Either one of you ladies?
For you, Mr. Mayor, I'll start the conversation if you're talking about budgets. And Christina can carry on after that if you wish. So currently, your council does have a $47,000 budget in your proposed budget. That hasn't been changed, but of course it's up to council, and that also included, normally it was a $17,000 amount that was going to Hospice Niagara, and then a $20,000 amount going to the community. And it will be a council decision what you wish to spend those funds on, or the amount in the future.
Thank you. So did you want to just expand a little bit on this is kind of an exciting program for our population to know about, and how will that get communicated out to the community?
Sure, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so this is just a revitalization of the current program that's existing. We took a look at our goals for our department to see what it is that we wanted to do moving forward, and how the grant program could streamline some different ideas and opportunities for the community to be able to receive some funding to be able to do really great things. One exciting piece of this new grant program is for individuals to be able to apply for grants. So then that way, they're smaller, more grassroots projects. So if someone wanted to do, a smaller mural, or, paint something in the community, different opportunities like that are available. So basically there's the three funding streams that this discusses, which is arts and culture, which focuses on kind of what I just mentioned, as well as recreation and wellness. So those are things like different activities and programs that help with keeping people moving and active in the community. And then the community development side as well, which again focuses on some of those smaller grassroots neighborhoods, getting people to know one another in their community. So that's kind of the gist of the program.
Great, thank you so much. And so for all you folks out there, you've looked for the month of September for those applications. Get your thinking hats on, and let's get that money spent in some very great ways that bring community together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other item on the consent agenda under staff reports that any councillor would like to discuss? And not seeing any, we'll move on to the next group.
Perhaps we could consider information correspondence and committee minutes together.
Okay, thank you. So 9.4 to 9.4 to 9.53. Any comments, questions on any of those agenda items? Oh, Councillor Eckert.
Yes, thank you. Just a question in regards to the Fax Niagara Mountain View Lemonade Day gratitude letter. I'm just wondering, I'm rather disappointed in the amount of money that was raised. I know the first year we had it, we did a little better. There didn't seem to be that much interest in the people using the MCC that day to make any type of a donation or purchase some lemonade or whatever. Is there, maybe next year we could do some consideration of a different location, maybe out at Centennial Park or something, if they have an event going on out there? I'm just a little disappointed in the amount of money that we raised. I mean, we had some kids doing it on the side of the road that raised 4 or 5 times the amount that we contributed. And any contribution is fantastic, but I think we could do better, so.
Now we'll go to Director of Wellness and Recreation, Ms. Van Ravensby. Any comments on that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I couldn't agree more. For some strange reason, this is not being, supported as much as we would all think it would be, and we need to work on that. Obviously, the MCC is not the place, but we should be able to, I know that we have tried in the past to set up one at Centennial Park with other volunteers, and that didn't work either. So we will, bring it back to our team and see how we could enhance it in some way and see what we can do.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other consent and agenda items that Council wishes to discuss? Not seeing any, I turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If there's no further discussion, I have a motion put forth by Councillor Kerr, seconded by Councillor Wink. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the August 6, 2025 Council agenda be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favor? See none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 11.2, staff reports requiring action. And our first item is 11.2.1, Town of Pelham Heritage Policy. And I have a motion put forth by Councillor Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Brunarski. Be it resolved that Council receive report 2025-0171, Town of Pelham Heritage Policy for information, and that Council approve the Heritage Policy S30006. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any council comments on the heritage policy? I like the fact that we will be under the gun to designate at least one property a year. I think that's means that we're going to be paying attention to this file, and I'm looking forward to. We had a great meeting at the library. There are 4 of them that were recognized, and looking forward to having something like that every year to at least one, maybe 1 or 2. So it was a nice event, standing room only. Great event put on by, I believe it was the planning department that put that on. It was very well attended and very great for the community for sure. Thank you. Any other any comments on this on the heritage policy? Not seeing any. We'll call a vote. All those in favor? And none opposed. Motion carries. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Your next staff report is Niagara Health System funding request, and I have a motion put forward by Councillor Wink, seconded by Councillor Kerr. Be resolved that Council receive report 2025-0152 for information, and that Council select option blank for funding support to the Niagara Health System for the new South Niagara Hospital. And Mr. Mayor, there are 7 options contained within the report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let me perhaps right off the top, Mr. CAO, any further comments to the report? Pretty self-explanatory. I guess we have 7 options.
Variety is the spice of life. When you look around the province of Ontario, municipalities react very, very differently to this same request. You can see Mississauga telling Ontario to pound salt and refusing to donate a penny, through to very generous municipal support, such as the City of Niagara Falls. Both models exist, and both outcomes exist, and they exist because reasonable people agree to disagree on this question. This is not traditional municipal ground. We are charged with doing actually hundreds of things under primarily the Municipal Act, but dozens of pieces of legislation, and this isn't one of them. But also, how do you argue against healthcare, something everyone in this town depends on? So you have the full ask. The full ask is more than we have in the bank. And I've privately tried to signal that to, and not just myself, others in this room certainly. We've pointed out that this is more wealth than we have. And it's still the request is made, and no adjustments to the request were made other than potential timelines, which, from my own perspective, is not particularly helpful. It is more than we have in reserves and in unspoken for reserves. So that's a problematically large ask. But what the appropriate response, if any, like I say, properly constituted councils in the province of Ontario have recently come to diametrically opposite conclusions as to what the appropriate way forward is here. At the end of the day, this goes to your understanding of the community, and you're going to make a decision on behalf of the community as to what the appropriate level of support is. And I would understand $0, and I would understand $1 million equally well. I think there are very compelling reasons to give, and I think there are very compelling reasons not to give. Like, we can canvass all of the capital needs this community has. We don't yet. We're going to take on debt, I think, next year around a swimming pool. We have challenges funding the renovation of the library. We know we need a new Tice Road. I can do this all day. But none of those things answer the fact that the healthcare system for many years has been predicated on some local contribution. And then you have to decide to what degree this is actually local contribution. For a hospital in Niagara Falls, 2 municipalities over, but ultimately a system that has future logic that says you will receive some services from that hospital regardless of where you live in Niagara. So what we can do in the event that it is the will of this council to support some part of this ask, I own real estate outside this municipality, and I receive property tax bills for that real estate. And in both places where I own land, there's a separate line on my annual tax bill indicating how much money goes towards, in both municipalities and towards local hospitals, so that it is a number I'm obligated to pay to those town halls as part of my tax bill, but it's broken out separately so that residents understand that that money is not going into town hall, not going to local civil service salaries or operations or what have you, but in fact is being redirected to the hospital. And I can say with authority that other municipalities in Niagara do that. So that is an option available to you. As you know, we're working on a budget for next year, and that budget doesn't include any concept of any donation whatsoever. and as we strive towards some sort of increase in the ballpark of roughly 4%, at least at time of drafting, that kind of ballpark, that doesn't include millions or hundreds of thousands per year, or even tens of thousands would have an upward swing on that. So I guess the one piece of advice I can offer on behalf of your staff, and we've spent a lot of time kicking this around and trying to find a way to make it work, is that ultimately, if it's appropriate for this community to support this project, then we really think we should break it out as a separate line and not intellectually consider that as part of any potential 2026 tax increase or for all the years thereafter. Because it will mean, if you say yes to this, it will mean future mandatory payments by residents, and we should at least be able to see that that's not money for town hall and that it's going to a dedicated purpose. We have that technical capacity, and so we would, if that were the will of council, you can add that into any sort of motion, or we can take it as direction, but I think that would be an appropriate way to go forward, if that's your will. And of course, you may well choose the other model, which is to not support, as the case may be. With that being said, I look forward to the discussion and wish you luck.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Perhaps one other staff member we should hear from is the Ms. Quinlan Murphy, our treasurer. I guess I'm kind of leaning, I mean, I don't think zero. I think that's, I don't think that's being very responsible to anyone. So let's say a million over 15 years. How much of an ouch factor would that be?
I'm sorry, what was the last part? How much?
I'm sorry, how much of an ouch factor is a million
So if you
over
look
15
through you,
years?
Mr. Mayor, if you look at the chart here, it would be a 0.46% tax levy increase, and it would be roughly $96,000 a year for 15 years going to the hospital.
Yes.
So that's what it would be.
And right now, we have a payment, a yearly payment. Is it the hospice?
It's finished. This is the last year.
That's a lot, and that was 18?
That was 17,000 for 5 years. So
Okay.
we donated 85,000 towards
Excellent.
their new building in Welland.
Yes, and that's now done.
Right, and so now that money's been rolled into the municipal grant fund.
Okay, so that's already been spoken for. Okay, thanks. So 96,000 a year for 15 years, and 0.4% of the tax rate.
Yeah, 0.46, yes.
Yep, okay, thank you very much. With those figures, myself, personally, that's what I'm leaning towards, but obviously, the will of council prevails. Any comments and questions? Councillor Wink.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. When we had the presentation and the ask was over $5 million, like, I was appalled at that number. I wasn't, there's no way in heck that we can afford that. We being the town, we being the citizens of the town, for a hospital, that when St. Catharines was built, there was no ask for from our municipality to help fund St. Catharines. There's going to be another ask down the road for Welland, because Welland needs drastic updating and whatever. So, and quite frankly, we would get more use out of the Welland Hospital than we would in Niagara Falls. That said, I've had family members being treated in Niagara Falls and in St. Catharines and in Welland, whatever emergency room isn't as busy. So there's no way we can do the full ask. I agree that we should be putting something towards it, and I'm leaning the same way as the mayor, that $1 million over the 15 years probably is the best we can do. I don't think we can handle anything 1 to 4 as far as options. I'm not saying about this council, but remember, previous council gave $500,000 to the YMCA. And that was years and years ago, and the dollar value was much different than what it is today. So I think we're obligated to give something, but not anything more than $1 million at this point in time, knowing full well that there's going to be another ask down the road.
And Councillor, would you also endorse, support the separate line in the tax?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other comments and questions? Go this side. Councillor Nesnick.
Yes, thank you very much. So yes, thank you. I fully do support as well the separate line on the tax bill regarding any payments that we would provide to Niagara Health System. I do think we need to remember that their vision is for all residents of Niagara to be able to use all 3 facilities moving down the line, because they will have specialty programs at each hospital. So if you're having a stroke, you would go to the Niagara Falls Hospital. You would not go to Welland. You would not go to St. Catharines. If you're having a baby, you would go to St. Catharines. If you're need some cancer, again, you would go to St. Catharines. So that's their vision, is as a whole of Niagara Health System. So I do also agree that we as residents will be accessing the Niagara Falls Hospital. I did have the opportunity to go through, they have a mock-up location that shows the proposed, I guess that is the plan of these new the new hospital, and I found it to be very high-tech, very ultra-modern. It's at the top of the pay cost. And I'm just wondering, unfortunately, I think it's too late, the horse is on the road. But to scale back on some of those high-tech opportunities that they have planned for the hospital. However, I guess we are moving into, future years where technology is going to be state-of-the-art. So it is going to be a state-of-the-art hospital, and we do have to help support it in some manner. My question is, I guess, to our Ms. Quinlan Murphy, is in the chart above option 1 where it has these estimated interest rates. So can you explain, I would not be in favor of taking out debt to pay them and then having us pay an interest rate on it. So can you explain where that estimated interest rate would occur? Did they want the money up front and then we take out debt to have that?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. We would give them the $1 million and we would take the debt out. That's the $96,342 for 15 years is the debt repayment. Because they would need the money now. And we're also not given the full $5.8 million. So.
Okay, so thank you. So is it an option that we divide? So I was looking at scenario 4, actually, $2 million over 15 years, but divide that money across the 15 years into a budget so that we don't have an interest payment, that we budget that money in over the 5 years so that we avoid interest costs.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I think it comes out to the same thing because you're putting that money, the $385,000 for this is $2 million. The $193,000 for $2 million would have to be in the budget every year. So either we give it to them or we give it to the bank. But what you're saying is take the $1 million and divide it by 15 years. Yeah, I think for the hospital, I think they need the money now as opposed to a little bit every year, because they actually, on their chart, they were showing a 5% interest charge if we were making installment payments.
So they want to charge us interest?
Well, because they would have to borrow money, so they're not charging interest because we haven't given them the money. They would have to borrow the money because they're short.
Oh, okay.
Just like we had to borrow the money for the MCC because of the timeline of the collection of the donations.
Well, maybe they need to go back to the provincial government and ask them for more funds.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
Thanks. On this side, Councilor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The easy decision for me is to put the hospital on a separate line along with waste, transit, town, and the region. That's the easy decision. Now, the more complicated decision is how much do we give them? And I've rationalized that, but I was really disappointed in Niagara Health System and their presentation, and I did send them an email asking them for more details, and unfortunately, I really didn't get any satisfactory conclusion on my email because they just said it was included. I, every year, as a resident and council from the town of Pelham, attend a gala event, and at this gala event, there's at least $250,000 that's raised every time, and it's significant. And when I asked where that money went, they just said, well, it's all included in the local fund, but yet it never showed up in the charts that they showed me, nor did they give me a satisfactory explanation. However, that being said, healthcare is healthcare, and we need healthcare, and the senior population is growing. So based on that fact, and based on the fact that we actually do provide Wellspring with a significant tax relief every year, I would be in favor of an annual payment of $96,342, which is 0.46% of the levy increase. And that's what I'd be willing to support. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Hildebrand. Councilor Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick question first, though. This deals with the $15,000 built into the operating budget earmarked for hospice that is ending. Correct me if I'm wrong or refresh my memory, but I don't remember who gave us a presentation here, but one of the things whoever did that presentation, we looked at this exact donation ending and then giving them, I thought it was $10,000 in the year starting in 2026. Does anybody else remember that? Yeah, I see some people, but I don't, or Kevin, I see, but I don't remember what organization that is.
Oh, he's got his hand up. Councilor Kerr.
If you remember, that was the medical training system in Welland. When they came in, the doctors that were going to put in the clinic, that was the money for training of interns, et cetera.
Yeah.
Does that jog your memory?
I think so. I knew it had something to do with healthcare. Thank you, sir. So that money that we're talking about that could go is already spoken for, or it's not?
I don't believe that we agreed to that we were going to consider it, but it was a potential option.
Okay, that's fine. I don't need to drone on about that. I just wanted, I knew there was something that in my head from before. So the biggest problem I have with the ask is trying to get the message across to people who ask me about this, that this is a regional system. And it's already been alluded to by my fellow councilors, that there are specific programs that are going to be designated for, as there already are. A stroke, if you have a stroke, you go to Niagara Falls, and treatments in St. Catharines, and I'm not sure about Welland. Mental health, I think, is down in St. Catharines. They carry a big burden of it. The average person, it's tough for them to realize that that's the overall goal, because what they look at, and quite frankly, I do a little bit as well, is if I need an ambulance at my house and I have to go to the hospital, I'm either going to Welland or I'm going to St. Catharines. I'm not going all the way to Montrose Road. So they're saying, why would I put into that? The second part is we know we're going to get another ask, as Councillor Wink said, from Welland when they redo Welland. And Welland, I don't think, is going to be a redo, a renovation. The talk that I'm hearing is that it's going to be a new build in front of the old build. Like, they're just not going to redo that hospital in a renovation. So we're talking a huge amount of money that now people can get their head around because it's right there. So I cannot support the full amount, 5.8 million. When I look at health and welfare in the town of Pelham, I don't think there's anything more important to the people of this health and welfare than having a new fire station, a library, a pool. Those are things that people can get their head around that are benefiting this community directly. And they will only see the benefit of a contribution to the Niagara Falls Hospital when they really need it. And then they'll be thankful that it's there. So I am in favor of some form of a contribution. I don't want to shut them out, but definitely can't support the upper echelon of 4 or even 5.8 million. And the other part of that is I read, when I was reading the part where how they did it on a head count, that the 5.8 million is not really the proper ask, an accurate ask. It's more 4 million. It should be more 4 million. Is that correct?
To Ms. Quillen-Murphy.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, when I did the calculation of the total share, so if you look at the chart here, it says the municipal ask, this is their original 230 million coming from the Niagara region was 44.5, the Niagara Health Foundation was up to 140 million, and the 6 municipalities was 45 to 50 million. And if you add up all of the 6 municipalities, it equals 72.5 million. So it's actually higher than the original 50 million of the chart. So I think that's where the difference is. So then if I did the math backwards, it looks like our share would have been 4 million versus 5.8 in order to get back to the 50 million for those 6 municipalities. Does that make sense? You know I love numbers.
Yep.
Thank you.
I know. I looked at that,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. So I guess I would be in favor of either the $1 or the $2 million contribution, definitely not any up the higher echelon one. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? We'll go to Councillor Bernarski.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I also would support a donation of some type. Obviously, in my career, I have visited all of the hospital sites and know that, yes, there are specialty services at each hospital. You know, as a resident of Pelham, there are situations where maybe you would use any of the 3 sites requiring specialty services, but it also depends if you're being transported by paramedics in an ambulance. It depends on how busy one site is versus another. So we have that all the time where, well, okay, I'm here, I'm going to this hospital. Well, depending on pressures of the day, that may not be the case. You could go from Fort Erie all the way to St. Catharines, depending on how busy the services are or the hospitals are and what your ailments are and what the priority is. So that being said, yes, you could use any of the hospitals in the region, but as other councillors have said, there will be an ask coming forward for Welland, and obviously we can't afford the 5.8 million ask. Can we afford $1 million? And like you said, getting residents to wrap their head around that versus other priorities that we have within the town. But I mean, not giving anything, you know, doesn't sit well with me. So doing $1 million now, and when that ask comes for Welland down the road, matching that to keep consistent would be where I would sit, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other? Oh, Kevin, I'm sorry, Councillor. Councillor Kerr.
I always try and listen to everybody first so I get a sense. One quick question for the CAO. Are all the municipalities listed as contributing, continuing with their contribution within the request?
Mr. CAO?
I can't speak to Port Colborne's. I'm sorry, I don't have current information there. I know that Fort Erie's council took a vote and I can't remember the term they used. In my world, I'd use the word stayed, their donation pending what is fundamentally a political dispute about medical servicing in the community. And that's, of course, a hot button topic for them. So at the moment, they're not contributing. I don't know what the eventual outcome of that will be, and I don't know where Port Colborne sits. Niagara Falls, of course, is giving them, it's both the largest municipality and will be host to the hospital, so it, for very obvious reasons, it's the largest donor. And Niagara on the Lake is also made a donation, if I have that correct. No. Okay, then what's the other one? What's the one who am I missing?
Welland?
Yes, I don't know Welland's position either. I do know there's a holdup in Fort Erie, so not everyone's on board at the moment, and Port Colborne has similar concerns in the community, but how that's played out politically, I'm sorry, I can't answer at this point in time.
Councillor?
No, thank you for that. I guess I have mixed feelings. I can trace my origin back to the original Welland Hospital that was on River Road, because that's where I was born, but I don't really remember that. And then the new one was built over the canal, and so we always had to gauge relative to dealing with the boats. Fortunately, with the at least with the Thorold Tunnel and the East Main Tunnel and the Netherby Road Tunnel, we can get at least across the water, not have to deal with boats. I know that with a number of residents, and I think Councillor Brunarski hit this, EMS is going to take you wherever they can fit you in. This happened with my father. The night before he passed away, he most likely would have gone to Welland, except it happened to be St. Patrick's Day, and the emergency room in Welland was full of, let's say, not totally sober people, and he was shuttled over to the St. Catharines Hospital. Personally, for me, if I has to go to a hospital, St. Catharines is far closer than Niagara Falls. I think, and that's the challenge for a lot of residents. They think of themselves going in the short term for a quick ER visit versus long-term care, and regional health care is a good plan because there's no need for every hospital to do the same thing for everyone. I can support up to $1 million, but no more, mainly because the Welland Hospital, as mentioned, there will be an ask for it, and for a larger number of residents within the town of Pelham, it's the closest proximity to them, and it always will be. People right now, I know in the southern part of the peninsula, be it Port Colborne and Wainfleet, if they have an ER situation, they actually drive to Dunnville rather than go to the Welland Hospital because they can get served quicker in Dunnville than they can within the Niagara region. And even hearing from colleagues down there, even with the new hospital in Niagara Falls, if they had to go for emergency services, they're still more likely to head to Dunnville than to go to Niagara Falls because it would be a far shorter trip. It's a great challenge. I personally, as Councillor Hildebrand brought up, not quite getting the answers that you wanted. I was somewhat surprised in the original presentation made to us that it was almost a little bit of a heavy-handed tactic of saying, well, we need your contribution because that really tells us what might happen in Welland. And I thought it was kind of a little bit of a strong arm tactic to say, well, if we don't get all our money for Niagara Falls, well, maybe we won't have enough for Welland. And I don't like those kind of inferences made by any group, especially a large number of senior management people that came to attend the presentation at our council. Those kind of things don't sit well with me. As a taxpayer, 0.46% for this particular situation, I think is manageable. I do agree that it needs to be a separate line item so that the residents know exactly what it is for, that it's not part of our standard budget. This is an over and above bill beyond normal. But as I said, for a variety of reasons, I would be intrigued if, and there's no time to go into detail on this, whether the travel time from anyone within the town of Pelham to the Niagara Falls site, which I find somewhat amusingly called a Niagara South Hospital at its particular location. The travel time to it versus the travel time to St. Catharines Hospital for residents within the town of Pelham by an EMS, should the rooms be open, I bet you it's substantially less to go to St. Catharines than it is going to be going to Niagara Falls. That being said, we need to contribute to healthcare. It is a demand coming to everyone within our municipality. Aging population. I've wholeheartedly agreed with the hospice support because I think it's something that's been forgotten for too many years and was a great addition for the municipality. So with that, I can concur, I guess, with Councillor Hildebrand and Councillor Wink at the maximum of for me, a maximum is $1 million for this particular request, funded over 15 years and as a separate line item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kerr. Perhaps we've all had a discussion. Are we going to go back, Councillor Wink?
Well, not back, but moving forward.
Okay.
I like to move that we entertain option 5.
Okay, thank you. Let's I'll turn to the clerk.
So option 5 would be to provide the Niagara Health System with $1 million over 15 years, and I'd be looking for a seconder for that motion.
Is there a seconder? I'll go with Councillor Bernarski then as a seconder.
Mr. Mayor.
As a mover, any further comments? Councillor?
Yeah, just with the proviso that that's a line item on the tax bill, so the residents know that the money's not going to the town, it's going to the hospital, so.
Okay, thank you. And I'll turn to the director.
So the $1 million will be given in a one lump sum, and it's funded over 15 years. That's how it's funded, just to clarify the motion, because the motion sounds like we're going to give them $96,000 a year.
So-
We're going to give them $1 million and fund it over 15 years.
Is that your intent?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And the seconder, Councillor Bernarski, any further comments? Okay, thank you. So the motion is on the floor. Any further questions, debate on the motion of the $1 million, $96,000 a year? Councillor Nesnick.
Yes, thank you very much. I don't think I'll be supporting that. I think we should maybe move to the scenario 4, which is a $2 million over the 15 years. As I just, when you read it, they've calculated it out per capita of $300 per person who lives in the town of Pelham, or $350. So even if you downed it to or reduced it to $300 per person, so in our household that would be $900 that we would donate off the top. So, thankfully, I would be in the position to be able to do that. So we're not going to do that whole amount, but I do think that residents are going to make good use of this hospital, and I do think that it will need to be funded. So I would prefer scenario 4, so I will not be supporting the motion on the floor right now.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other comments on the motion before us? Not seeing any, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of the motion before us, which is the $1 million donation, $96,000 a year, 0.4 on the tax bill every year for 15 years. All those in favor? And all those opposed? Motion carries. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to the motion as amended, inclusive of option 5. And again, we can use Councillor Wink and Councillor Bernarski if they are amenable to that. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion as amended? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 14, and I have a motion put forth by Councillor Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Bernarski. Be it resolved that Council for the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following, now read a first, second, and third time and do pass same, and that the Mayor and Clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws as follows. Bylaw 42/2025, being a bylaw to stop up and close a portion of an unopened road allowance between former townships of Louth and Pelham, identified as Part 1 on our Plan 59R 1838-7, and to declare the subject land surplus to the town's needs, authorize the sale, and permit the execution of a land transfer agreement with the Bruce Trail Conservancy for the conveyance of the lands, and 43/2025, being a bylaw to exempt blocks 8 and 9 on 59M 527, municipally known as 1 through 18 Accuracy Crescent, from part lot control. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on either of these bylaws? And not seeing any, I will call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to a notice of motion by Councillor Hildebrandt for the September 3rd meeting.
Okay, Councilor Hildebrand, on your notice of motion.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I sat in a meeting a couple of weeks ago on sustainability, and it talked about the EV charger, which I found very interesting. On that basis, I'm going to ask the council at the next council meeting to direct staff to prepare a report on the performance and future planning for the town hall EV charging parking, allowing only EVs while charging to be parked at the 6 prime spots. The motion is based on the following data that I received at this meeting, just verbally, is that we have 6 public charging stations, and this is over 2 years, 363 sessions over that time, 5,547 kilowatts delivered, 3,000 hours of charger connection time, and $927.80 in total revenue generated. When you start dividing all those numbers out by 2 to get it per year, and then you divide it by 6 to get it per charging station, then you divide it by 12 to get it to per month, you find that you got 2.5 charges per month per station, and you're generating less than $7 per station per month. So I think the spots are underutilized as far as charging stations, and possibly we already hood one of the two of the stations essentially during the chill series, and maybe we should take another review at it, either get more charging or more parking. And that's the notice of the motion. And the clerk will help me refine what I've just told you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Hildebrand. We look forward to that report. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That then brings you to item 16, resolution to move in camera. And bear with me, I will make this as concise as possible. I have a motion put forth by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Niznik, that council resolve into closed session to consider the following matters. 1, consideration of an appointment to an advisory committee, being personal matters about an identifiable individual, section 239(2)B. 2, closed session report 2025-0162, potential partnership opportunity, personal matters, again, 239(2)B. And a proposed or pending acquisition of or disposition of land by the municipality, 239(2)C. Item 3, closed session report 2025-0183, municipal property update, Marlene Stewart Street Park, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land, section 239(2)C. Negotiation strategy, section 239(2)K. Item 4, closed session report 2025-0172, municipal property update, MCC lands, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land, section 239(2)C. Item 5, closed session report 2025-0177, property matter, Ward 2, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land, section 239(2)C. A position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiation by the municipality, section 239(2)K. Item 6, closed session report 2025-0167, cannabis, litigation or potential litigation, 239(2)E, solicitor client privilege, 239(2)F, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiation by the municipality, section 239(2)K. To you, Mr. Mayor.
And the question is?
Yeah.
Wait, Councilor Eckert?
Can you repeat 5? No.
Okay, so all those in favor of going in the closed session? And against, I see none. We will now prepare to go into closed session. And before we do, as we do go into closed session, we'll take